Hey everybody, this is Ramon from DreamStart. www.mydreamstart.com is my website. And I'm super excited to talk to you guys on today. I want to welcome you guys to my very first Shift Talk for this year. Welcome to season 1. And I'm going to be talking about a lot of things during these Shift Talks. I announced it earlier this week that every week I'm going to be doing 1 to 3 videos talking about different things and how you can grow your career, your business, and your life. The 2 areas I focus on is your brand and your career, and your brand and your business, and how to really build and grow and mature those things. And so we're going to be talking about various different topics. I did a survey earlier this week, and I talked about, I asked people what their biggest challenge was in their career or their business. I got a lot of feedback, and based on some of that feedback, I'm going to be sharing a lot of different things. Before I get started, I just want to let you guys know that I just moved, and so I'm going to be rearranging my office. Just got into a new place, me and my wife did. I'm really excited about it, really happy about it, and I look forward to being able to share you guys more, having a better production quality with some of these videos in the near future, and being able to share a lot more information with you all as we continue to get things settled and organized in our new place, right? So with that being said, I'm going to get on right into it. So one of the things I realized when I was talking and asking questions to some of the our followers and people in my audience was what is one of their biggest challenges they struggle with? And out of some of the responses that I've gotten, one of the biggest challenges I've found from people is that they don't feel valued at work. Okay, and some of you guys may feel that way. You feel very undervalued. You feel like that, man, I've been working here for 5 years, been working at my job for 10 years. I've been doing a lot of really cool things here. I've been doing a lot of great things here, but I don't feel like I'm valued. I don't feel like no one sees me. I don't feel like no one knows me. I don't feel like that people can see my work. I don't feel like that I matter. And I think that's a really frustrating place to be at. More than 70% of employees say that they are not engaged in their job. They're disengaged. There's a survey that was done, and they surveyed thousands of employees, and literally more than 70% of them said that they weren't engaged in their job. They weren't engaged in their employment. I think that's sad. I think there's something wrong with that. I think there's something really disappointing to not be engaged in your job, to not be engaged in your work, to not be engaged in what you're doing. And so I thought it was really important that instead of going to work every day and feeling undervalued, instead of being there and not really participating like you should, instead of working and showing up and not really getting the most out of what you're doing, I want to give you guys 3 simple ways that you can gain or grab or get more value from your job. I want to give you guys 3 simple ways things that you can do practically that you can do in order to really feel valued at your job, so that you can really start to take control of your job instead of allowing yourself to take control of you and really begin to own the career path that you're in. Okay, so let's get into it. First thing you got to do when it comes to your career, when it comes to your job, is you have to really assess where you are. Okay, so you have to really assess where you are. You got to find out, first of all, am I in a job that I want? Am I in a career that I love? And you have to find out, is where I am where I want to go, right? The thing is, I realize is that if you don't know where you are, you can't really go to where you're going. I've talked to hundreds of professionals, and a lot of times they're in a place that, man, they're there because it just pays the bills, or they're there because they have to be in order to get to where they are. And so it's one thing when you're in a position that you love and you're in a career that you love, but there really isn't any growth there, right? You can try that, you can stay there, you can do a lot of stuff, but even if you could grow there, you wouldn't want to, because there's not a lot of places where you can grow there. And so I think the first thing to consider is that if you are in a place that you actually want to grow in, because if you are in a place where you're down and out, you're frustrated, you're tired, you're overwhelmed, you don't really enjoy what you're doing, you don't really like the work that you're doing, you don't feel like that it's having any sort of meaningful impact, then you're not really going to thrive there. You're not really going to enjoy there. You're not really going to love that particular place. Hey, Rashina, happy to see you. And so the first thing that before you start anything else we're going to talk about, if you're feeling underwhelmed, if you're feeling undervalued, if you're feeling frustrated at your job, you have to be willing to assess where you are, right? You have to assess is where you are, what you're doing, if it's what you're doing where you want to go, is what you're doing has a pathway to what you want to go and what you want to do there. Okay. Assessment is really critical. Some questions you can ask yourself is, does my current job bring value to my life, right? Does my current job bring value? Like, is it really adding value outside of the financial aspect? If I'm doing what I'm doing just for money, right? It's not good enough. Would you do what you're doing for your job for the rest of your life and never get paid for it? That's something you got to think about, okay? Second question you can ask yourself to figure out kind of an assessment, do I hate Mondays? When it comes to Monday, right? Like, do you absolutely hate going to work on Mondays? If you hate going to work on Mondays, then you probably are in a position that you don't want to be in, right? Third thing you want to ask yourself, right? Is my current job sustainable for my family and for my life? Like, when I think about what I'm doing right now, is there balance between what I do at work and being able to spend quality time with myself and with my family, okay? The answers to those questions are going to be really important in identifying where you are in your job, where you are in your career trajectory. This has nothing to do with money per se all the time, because I know a lot of people who have really, really, really expensive jobs, right? Like, it doesn't feel like a career for them because even though they're making a lot of money, they're doing what they love, or they're doing something that can make them money. It's not something that they can actually enjoy. It is not something that's really giving them the kind of freedom they're looking for in their life, right? So once you've really assessed where you are, okay, the second thing you want to do is you want to connect with your stakeholders, okay? Now, there are four main stakeholders at any job that you want to have a really good relationship with, okay? 4 major stakeholders that you want to have a really good relationship with. The first one, of course, really easy, is going to be your immediate supervisor. Wherever you work at, you want to connect with your immediate supervisor. You want to make sure that the person who supervises you directly, the person who's over you, that you have a really good relationship with them. Now, what does that mean exactly? That means that whoever is your immediate supervisor, right, you want to make sure that you're in consistent communication with them, that they understand your character, they understand your values, they understand what you believe in and what you stand for. And then you also want to make even just a little bit extra effort to ensure that they are on your side. You're on your team, right? Now, I know some of you guys, you have people that you work for that you may not necessarily like, and I'm going to deal with those people, so no worries. I'm going to deal with if you have a supervisor that you hate. But for those of you guys who have a supervisor, it's important that you develop a relationship with them. But what are some things you can do to develop a really good relationship with your supervisor? The first thing you can do is you can find out what that person needs, right? What their expectations are. When it comes to your job, your number one goal should be to master your job description, okay? And if you master your job description and you master what your supervisor expects from you with that job description, you've done a big part of the work that's required, okay? So you go to you have your job description that you have when you got first employed. You make sure that everything that's in your job description that you're doing. You're coming to work on time, you're doing what you need to do in your job description, right? That's the base level thing. Can you master the competency that's required for you to do that? But the second thing, though, you want to make sure with your supervisor is that any extra tasks that they want you to do, you're always being proactive with those tasks, right? And so one of the things that I like to suggest to people do is you go to your supervisor and say, hey, what else can I accomplish? After you've mastered your job description for the day, after you've accomplished everything you need to accomplish for that particular day, go to your supervisor and ask them, hey, like, what exactly should I be doing more, right? What exactly are some things that I can do to actually become better, or to add more to what I'm doing in my job, so I can help you, I can help the company, I can progress forward, okay? Those are some things you can do. And then the third thing you want to do is, this is something I do with my supervisor, me and a couple of employees, is really honor your supervisor. Something that we talk about at church is honoring up, honoring down, honoring all the way around. And one thing that you can do at your job is honor your supervisor. For my supervisor, she loves sharks. And so one of the things that we did is we bought her everything that we can think of about sharks. And we gave it to her when she first became our supervisor because we wanted to honor her, right? What are some ways that you can honor your supervisor? Even if you don't like them, honoring your supervisor is one of the quickest ways to build respect with them, right? The first way you honor them is by doing your work, showing up on time, doing what you have to do. But the second way you honor your supervisor is by being intentional and finding things they like, finding things they enjoy, and finding ways that you can really affirm them and who they are and what they're doing, okay? So you want to connect with your supervisor. The second person you should have a really good relationship with is your HR rep, okay? Now, this is really important. A lot of people shy away from HR, but whoever does the hiring and firing at your company, you want to have a really good relationship with that person, right? You want to find out what they like. You want to come by and talk to them. It don't have to be something grandiose that you do. It can be as simple as, once a week, I'm going to go into the office of the supervisor and check up on them, see how they're doing, see how's their life going, see what's happening, what's going on with them. But you want to honor your supervisor. You want to find out, hey, is there anything I can do to help you? Is there anything that we can do I can do in my department to improve your job, right? But you want to really build a relationship with your supervisor. The reason why is because whenever there's a job that's coming down the pike, your supervisor is the first person to know about it. And if they have a relationship with you, those are the people that typically are accounting for promotions in the first place. People always say, well, Ramon, I've been working here for 10 years. I've never gotten a promotion. Well, does your supervisor know what you do? Does your HR representative know what you do? Is the person in your HR, do they have a really strong relationship with you? Are they aware of what your accomplishments are in your department? Or are you leaving it all to hearsay to make sure that those people are going to automatically talk about you? It doesn't happen that way, right? Having a strong relationship with your HR representative where they can actually talk to you, they know what you do, they know what you're about, where you're consistently informing them about what you do is important. Anytime I get a survey from a client at my job, or anytime I get feedback from our customers at the company that I work at, I always send it to my upper level management, and they oftentimes send it to my supervisor because I want them to know everything that's happening, okay? The last person I would say you want to have a really strong relationship with is your executive, right? So whoever is the CEO or the highest ranking officer or highest ranking manager in that particular department. And so one of the things that I did when I first started working at my current company is I actually did tea within the first year of me working there with our CEO, because it was important for me that my CEO was aware of who I was, what I stood for, and what I meant, right? The better your relationship with your CEO or whoever the highest ranking manager or officer in your department, the more likely you're going to be seen as an asset to that company, okay? So reviewing the 3 people you want to connect with, it's going to be your supervisor. The second one is going to be your HR manager. Third one is going to be your CEO. One of the things you can do with your CEO is communicate the vision, your vision for your department, what improvements you want to make to it, and some things that you want to do to make your department better. But then you can also talk to your CEO about why your department is important, what things would they like to see in it, and what things they want to create inside of your department as well. Now, here's why that's really critical, okay? I want you guys to see this. This is key. Because even if your supervisor doesn't like you, when you have a strong reputation with your HR manager and your CEO, they're going to always vouch for you. I've seen it happen in my life, and I've seen it happen in time and time again. That when you have a bad relationship with your supervisor, whether you like them or not, if you have a strong relationship with the CEO or the highest ranking manager or officer in your department, and you have a really strong relationship with your HR manager, like they know you by name, you consistently check up on them to see how they're doing, you consistently make an effort to make sure that they're good, it automatically creates a trifecta for you that even if one person out of their court for some reason doesn't like you, if you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing at your job, I promise you they're going to vouch for you, they're going to fight for you, they're going to cover you. I have seen it over and over and over again, okay? So the first thing you want to do, I said you guys, is if you're feeling undervalued, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling overwhelmed, is you want to connect with your stakeholders, okay? The second thing you want to do is you want to measure your solutions, okay? You want to measure your solutions. So what exactly does that mean? There's a lot of times where we go and we do a job, and the only thing that we do are the job duties. If the only thing you are doing at your current job is what's required of you, you are replaceable. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. If the only thing you're doing at your current job is what's required of you, you are replaceable. You are, okay? If the only time you go to work, you show up on time, you leave on time, and the only thing that you do is the job duties and the responsibilities that are required of you, like literally, if only thing that you see yourself doing, if you go through your job description and the only thing that you're doing is what's on your job description, then you are replaceable, guys. And I think that's really important for you to recognize. That's really important for you to realize, because employees just do tasks. Those who are experts, those who make the most money, those who are bringing the greatest value to their companies, they solve problems. You have to convert your mind from an employee mindset, even though you're technically an employee, to an expert mindset. You're going into your company to solve problems. I approach every single company that I work at as an expert, as a consultant, and not as an employee. When I go into a department, I don't approach it as an employee. Well, my job wants me to do this, my job wants me to do this, my job wants me to do this. No, I approach it as an expert. I approach it as someone who's going to solve problems. And so when you're walking into a company, you got to identify, what problems am I going to solve? Like when I walk into this office, what specific problems outside of my basic duties, outside of my job responsibilities, what problems will I solve in this particular company? Because that's what's going to bring the most benefit to you and the most benefit to my company, right? So give me an example, Ramon. Well, an example of that, you walk in, let's say you're working in a department and you realize that there are some productivity issues. How can you solve problems in productivity? How can you make things more efficient? How can you do things quicker? How can you make things a lot more streamlined in what you're doing? Maybe you want to solve the problem of money. Maybe there's a new revenue stream that your company doesn't notice or doesn't see, and you have the solution to that revenue stream, right? But they don't know that. They don't see the gap there because you are the one who are working directly in the department. Maybe you're the one that creates the solution for that, okay? I remember hearing the story about the guy who started the company Frito-Lay's. They own Cheetos. Yeah, everybody who's had Cheetos, you had Cheetos before. Well, there was a Mexican gentleman who worked in the Cheeto factory, and he was a normal worker in the manufacturing plant. And they had a contest for the whole company. And in that contest, they were soliciting all the employees to come up with a brand new flavor, right? So the guy from Mexico, he decided that he remembered when he was a kid that he used to always put hot sauce on everything. He's Mexican. Back home, they put hot sauce and Tabasco sauce and all kinds of spicy stuff on everything. And he thought it would be really cool that if he took the same Cheetos and put hot sauce on top of those Cheetos, he knew that the flavor was really good. He tried it. He loved it. He submitted to his company, and literally so much so, they gave him the ownership to that particular flavor. Like he became known for the person that created his flavor. And if I'm not mistaken, he got shares in that company and became a multimillionaire from just contributing an idea to better flavors for Cheetos. That's how you solve a problem. Cheetos had a problem. They needed new flavors. He solved that problem. They loved it. And now he became extremely successful and a multimillionaire from solving that problem for them, right? What problems can you solve in your company? There's two main problems you can solve: problems of productivity and problems of finances, right? You can help your company make more money, or you can help your company make more efficient, become more efficient. How can you make the area you're in more efficient, or how can you help your company make more money for what you're doing, okay? The last thing you're going to do, if you're feeling undervalued and you want to feel more value, is you going to tell on yourself. So what does that mean, okay? All right, so you have assessed where you are. You know you want to stay where you are, okay? So you found out that this is a company that you want to work for. Great, you love it. There's some really great growth potential there. You love it. The second thing is that you've connected to your stakeholders, right? You've talked to the CEO, you've talked to the HR manager, you're really connected with the CEO, HR manager, and the supervisor. So you've connected to those people. And then you also have really figured out like what problems you want to solve, right? So you saw your job and you decided to find ways to solve problems. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to celebrate telling yourself, right? So telling yourself basically means celebrate your wins, but celebrate your wins in public, okay? So what does it mean? It's one thing when you're solving a lot of problems in your company. It's one thing when you are working hard and you're not just doing your task and you're going above and beneath, right? But you ever wonder why certain people get promoted more than others? You ever wonder why there's a lot of people in your company and it doesn't seem like they do anything, but they're always getting promoted? Because company promotion is more relational based, right, than it is actually being based in your performance sometimes. If you're just doing the work, but no one knows you that you're doing it, then you're not going to get promoted. You're not going to be able to give yourself the opportunity to be able to really see, for people to see what you're doing, okay? So anytime you solve a problem for your company, any initiative that you begin, number one, it should be on your resume, but number two, more importantly than that, it needs to be public, okay? So what does that mean? Every single time, I actually even created a survey for myself. I created a survey for my department that I work in, that every single customer, every single client that goes through our department, I'm a teacher at a college, so we have students, everybody that goes through our class, I personally created a survey that allowed them to do a survey about how our performance was, because I want to measure my feedback, right? Anything that can't be measured can't be sustained. And I don't care how great you are at your job, if you can't figure out how to measure that, then you cannot tell people about what you've done. You can't measure how your accomplishments are. You can't measure how well you've been doing because you can't sustain those things. So practically, what does that mean? How can you measure what you're doing at your job? How can you measure what you're doing outside of your responsibilities? Now, if it's just you doing your duties, that's level one. But when you get to the place where you can solve problems for your department, where you can generate more income, where you can make them more efficient, make them more productive, that's where you get into being able to publicize that, right? And so basically, you need to create a system, whether that's a survey, whether it's testimonial cards, whether you encourage the people that you work with to give you back feedback, whether if you are a manager at a company and you're managing people, give yourself your own assessment. Ask your employees. I talked to a friend not too long ago, and one of the things that she did as a manager for a department is she conducted her own feedback survey, where all of the people that worked under her, she asked them to give her feedback in a very practical way. She created a survey and she sent it to them, and they all gave her feedback, right? And she was able to use that feedback for the good, right? But also, she had things in there to improve herself, but she also had things about her that were great that she can use for measurable impact, which is really awesome, okay? But there's also the numerical things that you've done as well. What ways have you saved your company money, right? Maybe you created a new idea where there were, I remember there's a guy I know who used to work at Walmart, and I remember he talked to me about how one of the things that he wanted to do was reduce the amount of theft that was in his particular store. Well, that's something he can measure, that because of me as a manager in this particular department, I was able to reduce theft by, 600% or 40%, those are measurable things that you can do. But once you've been able to measure those things, then you got to celebrate them. Anytime someone gives me a feedback card or anytime someone does a survey, everybody who's in upper level management knows about it. I tell them about it. Every time someone sends in a letter of recommendation, I send it to HR. I send it to my supervisor. Anytime someone tells something good about what I've done, I send it to those, because sometimes we expect these people to do it automatically. We expect customers or clients or people that we work with to automatically give that feedback to our managers, but that doesn't happen all the time, right? The most vested person in your career is you. And so if somebody else is always, you're expecting someone else to always initiate giving feedback to those who matter, and a lot of times they don't even know who those people are, then you're going to always be left behind. You're going to always be disappointed because those people, right, aren't going to always get it to the right people. And so one of the things I suggest, guys, is celebrate your wins, make your success public, and let everybody know in your upper management, your supervisor, your HR manager, your CEO, let them know what you're doing, okay? So those are my 4 points that I want to go over. 3, I wanted to go over on how to really overcome feeling undervalued. And 1, the first one I talked about, which was how to really figure out where you are first, right? So the first point was you want to assess where you are. Make sure that before you started trying to figure out how to get promoted, how to feel more valued in your career, that's the career that you want to be in. Where you're working is where you want to be at. The second thing you want to do is, once you've done that, is you want to connect to your stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders in your company? Which people in your company are the people that are most valuable for you and your growth? And how do you connect with them? How do you build a relationship with them? Creating a really strong relationship with them. The second thing you want to do is you want to solve problems for your company, okay? So you want to like figure out what problems need to be solved. Am I just doing tasks or am I solving problems? And the third thing you want to do is you want to make it public, okay? You want to make what you're doing public so that people, the people who matter most, can celebrate with you and you can get your name out there, okay? I promise you guys, if you do those things, you will automatically feel valued. You will feel more valued, and you also will gain more value at your job. So this has been my first shift talk. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you guys have a great day. I'm making a big announcement soon. And yeah, you guys are going to be hearing about it soon. Share this video. Give me lots of hearts and lots of likes. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.